welcome once again to the shed. I always seem to have an eclectic mix of interests, and this is another one of mine, which is electronics. I've been desperately trying to learn electronics. The wheres and the why-fors escape me at the minute, but we're getting there. Anyway, what I've got here is a Geekcreit DIY FM radio from Banggood and other places. They're ridiculously cheap. I think they're £7. This one is as it came, except it came in a foam outer, and I haven't opened it yet. It's still got a sticky label on the side. Still sealed up in a little polythene bag. Now, for the funny story, I did this same video a few weeks ago, and I built one of these radios while videoing it from scratch. Same sort of scenario, and when I finished it, the radio didn't work, so I didn't quite finish the video. And due to me making a mistake, which is not unusual these days to make mistakes, and I think a faulty component, it didn't work. So seeing as how they were only £7 and I wanted to make the video and finish it, I bought another, and this one has just arrived today. So this is why we're all sat round here, all good friends and jolly good company, while we have a go at this. So I'll start, and I will also tell you of the mistakes I made with the other one, and the reason why I think one of the components was faulty. So I am now on camera ripping the sticky label, which has probably got all sorts of technical information on it that I've now lost. I am now entering the poly bag. It's open, and out it pops. Now, seeing as how this is the second time I've done it, it's not complete mystery to me what's in here. So we've got a set of instructions, and I must admit, as I've seen on other videos about this, putting it together is really self-explanatory. You don't need the instructions, and I'll show you what's in here. So there's a parts list, which I've never ever gone through in my life. There's a circuit diagram, a PCB diagram, and another diagram showing component locations and their values. So we'll just put this on one side, because we ain't doing any reading. Reading we do not do. That's for wimps. Right, there's a bit more sticky. Oh, there's the case as it comes. It looks like a radio. It doesn't look like you've got to do much to it. Only thing is, it does somewhat rattle a bit. It's even got the LCD screen. So that's it. Don't know which way you want to look at it, but it's got two bits of sticky tape on it, which I'll remove. And again, I don't know how they do these things for the money and send them all the way from China for £7. You know, I used to be a smoker. I'm not a smoker now, but the last time I was smoking, fags were £7.50. So, right. Well, now, which way shall I open it? Then we'll turn it over and we'll pull the back off. And there we are, 6 ton of bits. So we'll put the back to one side because we won't need that for a minute. We have got, well, I know what all these things are now because it's my second go. And as in the first video, I'll just explain what this is. Right, 2 pieces of brass, a round bit of brass with thread on it, an oblong piece with a threaded hole, so obviously that screws into there. Tighten it on. As I say, I don't think this was fully explained in other people's videos. It has this silicone rubber foot which fits in the end like that. Now, as we get this, the LCD is separate and needs attaching, and this is the tool for applying these contact strips. They've got a sticky backing which you've got to peel off, and these are used for applying them to the circuit board and to the LCD screen. As I say, I don't think anybody else has mentioned that. Perhaps I'm wrong, perhaps it's for ironing your underpants before you start, I don't know, but that's what I used it for, and it worked successfully. So I'll put that on one side because we ain't going to want that for a minute. I'll also collect up these connectors, and they give you enough so you can have a few goes at it, because it is a little bit tricky. So we'll put all those on one side out of the way. Just remember where they are, they're by there. This is the PCB, and this is the reason I say the instructions are not really needed, because although there was a drawing of this showing component locations, as you can see they're all marked out on it, and their values as well, so it's pretty easy and straightforward to follow it, even for an idiot like me. So there we go, there's the circuit board. We'll place that by there. Now we're getting to some nitty gritty here. There is a bag full of little bits, resistors, electrolytic capacitors, switches, battery terminals, ceramic capacitors, variable capacitors, screws. Everything is in the bag, so I'll put that by there. We've got an extending antenna, so I'll put that by there. I'm good at putting things by there, aren't I? And we've got another circuit board, and this is the one that the LCD mounts on. And the tool, when you've set that exactly in the right place, the tool is used to push those contact strips onto the contacts. I don't know if you can see them. See the contacts? We used to push those sticky contact strips onto there and seal them, and also onto the back edge of the glass, because that's where all the contacts are. So you use that for sealing that all up once you've stuck it to the double-sided tape. So you've got to line it up exactly. You can, I don't know if we'll be able to see it on the video, but you might just be able, the contacts are all along this edge. You might be able to see, it's like a ghost effect, show it where the contacts are, and that's what you've got to line up. With that, like that. So we'll put that on one side, because we ain't doing that for a minute. I think this is self-explanatory. It's the tuning knob. And the last thing, did I say I put that over there? Yes. The last thing is the speaker. And there it goes. And it isn't a plastic one, it looks like a proper speaker. And it's 8 ohm, 1 watt, I think it says. So we'll put that over there, and that leaves the case. And it's also got these buttons in position, because not only is this a radio, it's an alarm clock as well, which you can set, and a clock. So we'll put that over there. So that now leaves us with the bag. So I'm just going to empty that, and we'll divide up all the resistors, capacitors, wim-whams and widgets, and I'll pour them onto here and hopefully not lose any. Now, in the course of my job, I do a lot of soldering, so soldering isn't an anathema to me, and soldering is something I've done from a lad. I used to do a lot, and still do a lot of model aircraft stuff, and so that soldering skill has stayed with me all my life. So soldering's not the problem. Identifying all the components is not a problem. Identifying the resistances of the capacitors is not a problem these days, because there is a little bit of software which is available called Electronics Assistant. It's a free download. I think you can bung them a couple of dollars, and my phone has just started to ring, so I'll just have to stop for a minute. Right, where were we when we were rudely interrupted? Yes, we've got all the bits, and as I was saying, one of your problems doing this sort of job, especially for the beginner, is being able to identify resistors. Oh, come back. Come on. These are 5-band resistors, They don't show up, they're quite small, so they don't show up terribly well, especially the colours, but they're banded. That one looks like brown, gold, black, black from this distance, but I might be wrong. So you've got two ways of identifying the resistances. One is by downloading Electronic Assistant. I think I'll show you that. You see what I'm talking about. But you'll be going for a bit of a ride. Right. So you're going to have a look at my computer screen. Right, that's Electronic Assistant, and you can either find the colours by inputting the value there, and it will change the colours there. First of all, you've got to select 5-band, either a 4-band resistor or a 5-band, and then you can click on the colours. And the first one was brown. I think the second one was gold, I'm not sure. So you click on that. No, it must have been somewhere else. Let's just have another look here. I need my magnifying glass before I can right, I've got one here. Brown, black, black, red. Right. So all we have to do is, the first one is brown, so that's already set. Oh, that's already set. Black, black, and then the end one is red. So you click on that, and it tells you straight away at the bottom that it's 10 kilo ohms, and it'll tell you whether it's mega ohms, kilo ohms, or just ohms. And the last colour at the end is the tolerance, and that one was brown. So they're 1% tolerance. So somewhere near, within a blow on a bugle, will be somewhere near 10 kilo ohms, and we can check that if you've got a meter. Did you enjoy that ride? I didn't. I'll tell you what's going to happen now. It's going to. Oh no, it's clicked. I thought we were going to fall out on the floor. Right. There we are. The way of checking it is if you've got a meter, like this one, you can set it to ohms, like that. I'll have to pan out a bit so we can get it all in. Right, going to get some glare. I can still see the reading there. Which one was it? Brown, black, black, red. This will probably make me a liar. As I say, set your meter to ohms. And just put the probes either side. And I don't know if you can see that yet. 9.97. So I say, you know, you got a 1% tolerance. So there you go. So you can find them two ways, either by electronics assistance or by having a meter. Probably electronics assistance is the cheapest because you can download it for nothing, but all these little bits of software that people have worked on, and I've got a PayPal donation thing. I always drop them a donation because they've worked on it. And I don't think it's fair to take something for nothing. Right, I'll put my meter back in the drawer. Right, so we know how to read them when we want to, so we can get the right ones to put in the board. Right, so what I'll do now, which I'm not going to bore you with, I'm going to sort out all these bits into what they are. Oh, there's one or two other things to mention. This is a little processor that powers the LCD to make all the figures visible and do all the necessary frequency computing to show the right frequencies on the LCD. So that's that. That has to be soldered on as well. Oh, this is the magic chip. I think it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 16-legged chip, which has to be soldered in position on the circuit board. It's also got an indent in one end. You'll find with all these things that have polarity, there's a mark, and in the end of the chip there's a dent, so that marks pin 1, and you put it the same way around on the printed circuit as the little indent is shown. Anyway, so this is the magic chip. This is the CD 2003. This is the FM chip that does all frequency changing and makes it into an FM radio. So that's that. There is another chip here. This is like an op amp. This is your amplifier, and this is a TD 2822, and that also has got a little indent in it, and it's also marked on the circuit board, so it's easy enough to follow, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with those in a minute or two. The other things on here, as I mentioned when I was looking at the packet, was battery terminals. What else have we got? On-off switch. Audio jack for earphones. And a little volume control, so that'll be a variable resistor. Variable resistor to control the volume. There are 3 coils. I think they're 5.5 windings and 6.5 windings, but they're marked on the board, so they're easy enough to do. And they're also pre-stripped the varnish off them, so they solder straight in quite easily. And wire for connecting the LCD to the main board. The variable capacitor. Which is that. And I said I wasn't going to go through all these, I was just picking out the big bits. Obviously these are electrolytic capacitors, and they have polarity as well. There's also a transistor, and that'll be a power transistor. There's a couple of them, and the rest is the resistors and the screws. Oh, there's a little crystal as well, keeps the time. And oh, the last thing is these little switches, and I'll show you how to attach them as well. Well, the way I did it. There's probably various ways, but I'll show you the way I did it. So I'll switch off for a minute, I'll sort out all these resistors and capacitors, and then we'll come back and we'll start placing them, some of the components in the PCB. Right, I'm good at saying right.